The city of Nova Prime stretched high into the sky, a shining colony hovering above a distant planet. Its glass towers reflected the twin suns bathing the streets in bright light. Citizens moved swiftly, hover vehicles gliding between buildings with silent precision. Nova Prime was a place where technology ruled, but humans still held the power to make critical decisions. On a warm midday, the heat from the suns pressed down on the city. The temperature rose faster than usual due to a solar flare, sending waves of warmth across the colony. In one quiet sector, a small hovercar waited at the edge of a residential plaza. Inside the car, 8-year-old Mara squirmed nervously in her seat. She had been left alone for just a moment, but the heat quickly made her uncomfortable. Her small hands pressed against the window as she looked out, the sunlight making the glass glow like molten gold. Outside, Luma walked along the plaza, her sharp eyes scanning the crowd. Luma was a protection officer for Nova Prime, tasked with ensuring the safety of all citizens. She had grown up on the colony and had learned to trust her instincts. Humans could sense danger in ways machines sometimes could not. As she moved closer to the parked hovercar, the heat sensors on her suit beeped. She frowned and focused on the car. Inside, Mara was beginning to panic. The temperature in the car climbed quickly, and she could feel her chest tighten. She tried to open the door, but the locks were controlled by the car's internal system, which had malfunctioned during the solar flare. Her voice trembled as she called out, but there was no one immediately nearby to hear her. Luma noticed the child's distress immediately. She activated her comlink and spoke quickly. "This is Officer Luma. I have a child trapped in a hovercar. The temperature inside is rising rapidly, requesting immediate assistance." While she waited for the emergency response, Luma approached the car. The reflection on the glass revealed Mara's wide eyes and pale face. A bead of sweat ran down Mara's forehead, and Luma knew she had only moments to act. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside the car. Varen, one of the colony's local council enforcers, arrived in his formal uniform. He was known for strict rule-following and pride in his authority. He glanced at the car, then at Luma, and raised an eyebrow. "What is the problem here?" Varen asked, his voice firm but calm. "The child is fine. She can wait." Luma's eyes narrowed. "She is not fine. The temperature is dangerous and the car's system is malfunctioning. We need to get her out now." Varen shook his head. "We cannot interfere with private vehicles unless there is proof of harm. The system may correct itself. Stand back." Luma clenched her fists but kept her voice calm. "There is no time to wait. If we delay, the child could be seriously injured." She glanced around the plaza. Several citizens had stopped to watch. Their expressions showed concern and fear. Some were already recording the incident on their comms. Mara's small voice called out again. "Please help me. I'm too hot." The sound broke through Varen's calm exterior. He looked annoyed but did not move. Luma took a deep breath. She had been trained for these situations. Human intuition allowed her to make decisions that even advanced colony systems could not always predict. She tapped into the emergency override on her suit, a function reserved for extreme danger. "Varen, stand aside," Luma commanded. "I am taking action to protect this child." Varen hesitated, then stepped back with a frown. Luma knelt beside the car and accessed the hovercar system. The AI interface flashed warnings, but she ignored the alerts. Her fingers moved quickly, overriding the door locks and safety controls. The citizens around the plaza watched in silence, their curiosity mixed with fear. Inside the car, Mara's breathing became faster, her hands gripping the seat tightly. The glass reflected Luma's determined face. Luma activated the emergency hatch, and with a soft hiss, the door slid open. Mara bolted out, gasping for cool air. Luma wrapped a protective arm around her, guiding her away from the intense sunlight. The citizens began to murmur, some applauding, others whispering about the bold action of the officer. Mara clung to Luma's arm, looking up with wide eyes filled with relief. "Thank you," she whispered. Luma smiled gently. "You are safe now, Mara. That is what matters." Varen stepped forward, his expression a mix of irritation and embarrassment. "You acted too quickly. This could have been handled in a different way." "You broke protocol," Luma shook her head. "Protocol does not matter when a child's life is at risk. Humans are capable of understanding danger in ways machines cannot always calculate. I acted to protect her." At that moment, Mara's caretaker arrived, rushing over in panic. "Mara, I am so sorry." They hugged her tightly, tears running down their face. Luma stayed close, ensuring the child was truly safe before stepping back. Varen, now facing both Luma and the public, grew defensive. You cannot disregard regulations. The council will review this incident. The citizens, however, saw a different truth. They witnessed bravery and empathy. They saw a human acting decisively to save another human in danger. They realized that even in a colony governed by advanced technology, human courage remained vital. Luma's superior, Kale, arrived on the scene shortly after. Kale was calm and authoritative, a human who had spent years training officers like Luma. He assessed the situation quickly, noting the child's condition and the malfunctioning vehicle. Varen, Kyle said, his voice steady, your lack of action endangered a child. You will be temporarily detained while we review this. Varen's eyes widened in shock. Detained? I was following procedure. Kale shook his head. Procedure cannot replace judgment. Today, judgment saved a life. The citizens whispered among themselves, admiration in their voices. They had seen an example of human intuition and moral clarity, traits that machines alone could not replicate. Mara's relief was visible, her fear replaced by gratitude and wonder. She looked at Luma with shining eyes, realizing that humans could be heroes not because of strength or weapons, but because of empathy and courage. Luma guided Mara to a shaded area, ensuring she was comfortable and hydrated. The heat from the sun still pressed down on the city, but now it felt manageable. Luma took a moment to observe the crowd. Many citizens were recording, sharing, and discussing the incident. It was a reminder that humans, through decisive action and compassion, could influence society in ways technology could not. Varen was escorted away under Kale's instructions. His pride bruised, his authority questioned. The council would review his actions, and likely his inaction would be a lesson for others. Meanwhile, Mara's caretaker held her close, thanking Luma repeatedly. The young girl clung to Luma's hand, her eyes wide and bright. Luma smiled, knowing that small acts of courage could leave lasting impressions. In a colony where machines managed most tasks, it was humans like her who reminded everyone of the value of empathy and moral courage. As the crowd began to disperse, Luma stood tall, watching the city that stretched endlessly into the sky. Nova Prime was a place of technology, speed, and order, but it was also a place where human hearts still mattered. Today had proven that even in a world run by systems and algorithms, humans could act with clarity, compassion, and bravery. The incident would become a story remembered across the colony. Citizens would speak of the day a child was rescued by quick thinking, human intuition, and courage. They would remember the lesson that humans, with their ability to feel, decide, and act, were indispensable. Luma allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before returning to her duties. Nova Prime never truly rested, and there were always others who needed protection, guidance, and care. She walked along the plaza, her eyes sharp, her mind alert, ready to face the next challenge, and somewhere in the distance, Mara played safely, unaware of how close danger had come, yet forever remembering the human who had acted decisively to keep her safe. The city continued to shine under the twin suns, a place of wonder, challenge, and opportunity. And as the citizens looked to the skies, they knew that humans, with their courage and empathy, would always be at the heart of Nova Prime. The day after the hovercar incident, the city of Nova Prime was buzzing with talk of Luma's bravery. Citizens moved quickly along the streets, discussing the rescue, and many stopped to watch news feeds from the colony's media towers. Holographic screens projected images of Mara smiling, safe in Luma's arms, while officials spoke about the importance of human judgment alongside advanced technology. Inside the colony's central safety headquarters, Luma sat at a sleek control console. The room was filled with holographic maps, alerts, and streams of information. She scanned the reports from yesterday, noting how the system had recorded both her actions and Varen's failure to act. The AI confirmed what Luma already knew. The child had been in real danger, and human intuition had been the deciding factor in saving her. Kyle, Luma's superior, entered the room. He moved with a quiet authority, his eyes scanning the room before settling on her. "You did well yesterday," he said, his voice calm but firm. "The council is reviewing the incident. There will be discussions, but the public already sees what humans can do. Luma nodded. I only acted to protect the child. That is what mattered most. Kale smiled slightly. Exactly. And the citizens will remember this. Humans are capable of quick judgment, empathy, and courage in ways machines cannot replicate. That is what they need to see. Meanwhile, Varen was held in a secure facility within the council's compound. He was allowed access to his personal data and official communications, but was closely monitored. His pride had been hurt, and he was frustrated by the fact that the public now viewed him as incapable of acting decisively in a critical moment. Back in the plaza where the incident had occurred, Mara's life began returning to normal. Her caretaker, a kind and diligent adult named Rena, took extra care to ensure she was safe and hydrated. Mara often asked questions about Luma, eager to understand the person who had saved her. She was very brave, Mara said one morning, her eyes bright. She knew what to do even when everyone else was confused. Rena nodded. Yes, Mara. People like Luma show us why humans are important. We can think, feel, and act in ways machines sometimes cannot. We make the right choices when it matters most. Luma's story spread further across the city. Citizens shared videos and accounts of the incident, highlighting the calmness, intelligence, and bravery she had shown. In neighborhoods and schools, children spoke about the importance of being aware of danger and trusting humans who protect them. The city's media emphasized that while technology was powerful, humans remained essential. Luma spent the next few days preparing a report for the Colony Council. She highlighted how the combination of intuition, training, and compassion had prevented a serious accident. She suggested improvements to the hovercar systems, but she also stressed the importance of human judgment in emergencies. The council took note, impressed by her thoroughness and clarity. Meanwhile, Varen remained isolated, his pride slowly eroding as he reviewed the recordings of the incident. He could see the child struggling, the rising temperature, and Luma's decisive actions. It was clear to him that hesitation had caused unnecessary risk. He also noticed the public reaction, citizens praising Luma's courage, expressing admiration, and discussing the importance of human judgment. On the fourth day after the incident, the council convened a public hearing. Citizens were invited to attend virtually or in person. Luma and Kyle were present, while Varen was represented by his official advocate. The chamber was filled with a quiet tension. Everyone knew that this hearing would set a precedent for human involvement in safety and emergency decisions. Kyle began the session with calm authority. Yesterday, a situation occurred that tested our systems, our technology, and our people. We observed how human judgment and courage saved a life. This hearing will determine how we recognize and integrate human decision-making alongside automated systems. Luma presented her report, walking through the events step by step. She explained the rising temperature, the malfunction in the hovercar's safety systems, and the child's distress. She detailed how she overrode the controls, opened the door, and ensured the child's safety. Her words were clear, concise, and calm. Varen's advocate spoke next. Council members, while my client followed standard procedure, it is unfortunate that the outcome required intervention. We recognize the child was saved, but protocol exists for a reason. It is important to maintain rules. Luma listened respectfully but responded with conviction. Rules are important, but they are not absolute. Human judgment must be trusted in moments of danger. Machines cannot always understand fear, pain, or immediate threat. Today, citizens saw that humans can act decisively when necessary. The council members nodded thoughtfully. Some exchanged quiet comments about the importance of balancing rules with human decision-making. The public watching through holographic feeds reacted with murmurs of agreement. Many expressed admiration for Luma's courage and intelligence. After the hearing, Luma walked through the plaza near the headquarters. Citizens stopped her to offer thanks, smiles, and encouragement. Young children looked up to her as an example of bravery. One small child approached cautiously. "Did you save the girl because you were brave?" they asked. Luma knelt down, smiling gently. "I acted because it was the right thing to do. Sometimes bravery is simply choosing to help someone when they need you most. The child nodded, understanding. Others in the crowd began to discuss how humans had the ability to act with empathy, compassion, and moral clarity. They recognized that even with advanced technology, humans could remain the heart and soul of Nova Prime. Back at the protection office, Luma received a message from Mara. The child wanted to visit her and learn more about what it meant to help others. Luma agreed, knowing that teaching younger generations about courage and responsibility was as important as any technical training. Meanwhile, Varen faced his own reckoning. He reviewed training materials, feedback, and public opinion. He began to understand the value of human intuition and empathy. Though it bruised his pride, he recognized that humans like Luma held a unique and irreplaceable role in society. The city continued its rhythm. Hovercars gliding through the skies, citizens moving quickly along the streets, and sunlight reflecting off tall buildings. But the story of Luma's decisive actions had left an impression. Citizens now spoke of human courage and wisdom, and the council considered ways to integrate more human judgment into emergency protocols. One evening, Luma stood on a balcony overlooking the city. She watched the twin suns descend, bathing the streets in gold and orange light. The warmth of the day faded, replaced by a cool evening breeze. She thought of Mara, now safe and curious, and of the citizens who had witnessed bravery in action. Humans had proven once again that even in a high-tech world, they could make a difference. Their empathy, moral clarity, and courage could guide decisions that machines alone could not. Luma felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that her actions had inspired others to recognize the importance of human judgment and care. The next morning, Nova Prime was alive with energy. Citizens went about their routines, but there was a new sense of awareness and appreciation for the humans who protected them. Children in schools spoke about the rescue, drawing lessons from Luma's example. Parents explained how humans could act with both reason and heart, and why that mattered in a colony governed by advanced systems. Luma returned to her duties with renewed purpose. She trained new officers, shared her experiences, and emphasized the importance of combining knowledge, intuition, and empathy. Nova Prime's safety systems improved, but humans remained at the center, guiding decisions and ensuring that technology served life, not replaced it. The incident with Mara had become more than just a story of danger. It was a lesson in courage, compassion, and the irreplaceable value of humans in any society. Luma knew there would be more challenges ahead, but she also knew that human courage and moral clarity would continue to make a difference. As she patrolled the city, alert and ready, Luma reflected on the truth that had been proven. Even in the most advanced colonies, humans could act with insight, empathy, and bravery when it mattered most. And in that, Nova Prime had found a strength that machines alone could never replicate. The city of Nova Prime had settled back into its rhythm, but the incident with Mara and the hovercar remained a topic of discussion across the colony. Holographic news feeds replayed the rescue, showing Luma's calm and decisive actions. Citizens from all districts spoke about the courage and empathy humans displayed, proving that even in a highly automated society, human judgment was essential. Luma walked along the main plaza, her suit sleek and functional, reflecting the late morning sunlight. Children waved as she passed, remembering her as the protector who had saved one of their own. Teachers from nearby schools had brought groups of students to see her, eager to share lessons about responsibility, courage, and empathy. As she reached the plaza's center, Luma noticed a small crowd gathering near one of the civic holoboards. Holographic images displayed Varen's actions, or lack of them, during the hovercar incident. The public's response was clear. Citizens wanted accountability, but they also wanted to understand how humans could act decisively in emergencies. Kale joined Luma, placing a hand on her shoulder. "The council has scheduled a public forum today," he said. "They want you to speak about your experience and share recommendations for integrating human judgment into colony safety protocols." Luma nodded. She had expected this opportunity, but she knew it would require careful words. She wanted to inspire, not intimidate. "I will speak clearly," she said. "I want people to understand that humans can make decisions with empathy and courage when it matters most." The forum took place in the grand chamber of the Colony Council. The room was filled with officials, citizens, and representatives from various departments, all eager to learn from the incident. Holographic screens around the chamber displayed real-time views from the hovercar in the plaza, showing Mara struggling and Luma acting to save her. Luma stood at the podium, her voice steady and calm. Yesterday, we witnessed a situation where a child's safety was at risk due to a combination of heat and system malfunction, she began. The hovercar's safety mechanisms failed temporarily, and the child was left in a dangerous environment. In moments like these, humans must act with judgment and empathy. The council listened intently, and the citizens watching virtually nodded in agreement. Luma continued, explaining how she assessed the situation, evaluated the risk, and decided to override the vehicle's system to protect Mara. She highlighted the importance of balancing rules with moral clarity. Rules are important, Luma said, but rules alone cannot account for every situation. Humans have the ability to sense danger, to act with compassion, and to make decisions that prioritize life and safety. A council member, an older human named Taryn, spoke next. Luma, your actions saved a life. How can we ensure that humans in similar positions can continue to act decisively without overstepping authority? Luma considered the question carefully. We must provide training, support, and clear guidelines for when human judgment is required. We must also trust humans to act ethically, knowing that empathy and courage guide their decisions. Technology can assist, but it cannot replace the human heart and mind. The forum continued with questions from the public. Citizens asked about safety protocols, hovercar systems, and the balance between automated guidance and human intervention. Luma answered each question with patience, emphasizing the value of human judgment, the importance of preparedness, and the need for empathy in emergencies. Meanwhile, Farron remained confined in his temporary holding quarters. He watched the forum through a private feed, his pride battered. He saw the public's admiration for Luma and the council's acknowledgement of her actions. Slowly, he began to reflect on his own choices. During the incident, Farron realized that his strict adherence to protocol had prevented him from recognizing the immediate danger to Mara. He understood that human intuition and empathy were as important as rules and regulations. Though it was difficult for him to admit, he recognized that humans like Luma played an irreplaceable role in the colony's safety and well-being. After the forum, Luma returned to the plaza where Mara and Rena were waiting. Mara ran toward her small feet moving quickly over the smooth pavement. I wanted to see you again, she said, her eyes bright. I want to learn how to help people like you do. Luma knelt down, smiling warmly. Courage is not about strength alone. It is about noticing when someone needs help and choosing to act. Anyone can learn to do that. Rena watched the exchange, admiration clear on her face. You have inspired many people, Luma. Not just Mara. The entire colony is noticing what humans can do. The city continued to thrive under the twin suns. Hovercars moved smoothly between towers. Citizens walked through plazas and markets, and technology managed most daily tasks. Yet, the story of Luma's actions reminded everyone that humans remained central to the colony's functioning. Luma's next days were filled with training sessions, community talks, and collaboration with engineers on improving hovercar safety systems. She emphasized that technology should enhance human judgment, not replace it. Engineers appreciated her insights, recognizing that human intuition could identify problems that machines might overlook. Farron, confined in his quarters, began a program of reflection and study. He reviewed past incidents where human judgment had prevented accidents. Slowly, he started to understand the importance of balance. Rules were necessary, but empathy and courage were essential. He realized that humans like Luma embodied the qualities that made Nova Prime not just functional, but humane. In the following weeks, Luma noticed a change in the city. Citizens were more attentive. Children asked questions about safety and responsibility, and adults discussed ways to integrate human judgment into daily life. The council recognized the value of having humans actively involved in decision-making and emergency response. One afternoon, Mara visited Luma at the protection office. She carried a small notebook filled with drawings and notes about courage, empathy, and helping others. I want to learn how to make the city safe, she said earnestly. I want to understand how humans can help when machines cannot. Luma smiled. That is a very good goal, Mara. Learning to observe, think, and act with empathy is the first step. Every small action can make a big difference. Rena stood nearby, proud of her daughter and grateful to Luma for setting an example. You are showing Mara what humans can do, not just to save lives, but to inspire others to act with care and responsibility, she said. Luma guided Mara through the office, showing her tools, safety monitors, and the ways officers prepare for emergencies. Mara's eyes widened at the technology, but she paid special attention to Luma's explanations about human decision-making. Machines can do many things, Luma said, but humans can see, feel, and choose. That is what makes us unique and important. Meanwhile, Varen's reflection continued. He began writing reports on the importance of human oversight, recommending that future protocols include guidelines for when officers could intervene based on judgment and empathy. Slowly, he began to shift from rigid rule-following to understanding the human element. It was a difficult process, but he recognized that humans were essential to maintaining the safety and moral integrity of Nova Prime. Luma's influence spread beyond the protection office. Schools introduced lessons on empathy, judgment, and responsibility. Community programs encourage citizens to recognize danger, help others, and trust humans to act with clarity in critical situations. The story of Mara's rescue became a teaching tool, showing that courage and moral clarity were as important as technology in keeping a city safe. As weeks passed, Luma patrolled the city, confident and vigilant. She noticed citizens responding to emergencies with more awareness and care. Hovercars and drones operated efficiently, but humans were always present, ready to make judgment calls when needed. Nova Prime had grown stronger, not just technologically but morally and socially, thanks to human intervention. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the sky in shades of gold and purple, Luma reflected on the journey so far. The hovercar incident had tested not only her skills, but also the society's understanding of human value. Citizens had learned that humans could act decisively, ethically, and with empathy when lives were at stake. Mara waved from the plaza below, carrying her notebook filled with ideas and sketches. She had started a small project with her classmates to create safety posters and guides for young citizens. Luma smiled, knowing that the next generation was learning to combine curiosity, courage, and compassion. In another part of the city, Varen completed his reports for the council. He acknowledged the importance of human oversight, admitting that humans had saved lives when machines could not. It was a small step toward change, but it reflected the growing understanding that humans were central to the colony's safety and success. Nova Prime continued to thrive. Its towers glimmered under the sunlight. Hovercars moved seamlessly through the streets and the hum of technology filled the air. Yet the city's true strength lay in its people, humans capable of empathy, courage, and moral clarity. Luma's actions had reminded everyone that while machines could assist, humans remained essential. The story of Mara's rescue became a symbol of hope, responsibility, and the irreplaceable value of human judgment. The city of Nova Prime had returned to its usual rhythm, but Luma knew that the events surrounding Mara's hovercar incident were far from over. Citizens still spoke about the rescue in hushed tones on the streets, in markets, and at schools. Children drew pictures of Luma and hovercars, while parents discussed the importance of human judgment in a world dominated by machines. Luma arrived early at the protection office, her suit humming softly as it activated. She reviewed incoming reports and alerts from various sectors of the city. Despite the technological efficiency of Nova Prime, she noticed subtle patterns that required human attention, situations where the instincts of a trained protector could prevent minor accidents from turning into serious incidents. Kale entered the office, holding a tablet filled with new council directives. Luma, the council has decided to implement some changes based on your report, he said. They want to ensure that humans remain central in emergency response and safety oversight. You will have a direct role in training new officers and advising the council on safety protocols. Luma nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility. It is important to show the citizens that humans can act decisively and ethically. That is how we maintain trust and ensure safety. Meanwhile, Varen had been released from temporary confinement, though his reputation had been significantly affected. The public still viewed him with suspicion, but the council wanted to provide an opportunity for redemption. Varen had been assigned to a new oversight committee where he would observe and learn from human-led initiatives in emergency response. Though hesitant, Varen approached his new role cautiously. He attended briefings, training sessions, and simulations, observing officers like Luma demonstrate human intuition, empathy, and decision-making in real-time scenarios. Slowly, he began to understand that rules alone could not account for every situation. Humans brought insight and moral clarity that technology could never replicate. In the plaza where Mara lived, children were gathered in small groups discussing what they had learned about safety and responsibility. Mara herself had taken a leadership role among her friends, sharing lessons from her experience and encouraging them to observe, act, and help when needed. Her confidence had grown, and she often spoke of Luma as a role model. One morning, Luma was called to the plaza for a demonstration. A hovercar training simulation had been set up to show citizens how human judgment could complement automated systems. Mara watched eagerly as Luma approached the vehicle, her movements precise and calm. The simulation presented a child trapped inside a malfunctioning hovercar. Luma assessed the situation quickly, overriding the controls and safely extracting the child. The crowd applauded, not only for the technical skill but also for the calm and empathy Luma displayed. Humans can make the difference in critical moments, she explained afterward. Technology is helpful, but empathy, courage, and moral clarity are what save lives. Varen observed from a distance, taking notes. He saw the reaction of the citizens, their admiration, and their trust in human judgment. For the first time, he began to question his previous approach to strict protocol. He realized that leadership required more than following rules. It required understanding, observation, and action guided by compassion. That evening, Luma returned to her patrol tower overlooking Nova Prime. The city glowed under the twin suns, artificial lights reflecting off glass towers and smooth hoverways. She reviewed reports of minor incidents, noting where human intervention had prevented potential hazards. Citizens were more aware, attentive, and willing to act, inspired by the story of Mara's rescue. Her comms chimed, signaling a new alert. A hovercar in the northern sector had reported a malfunction with its cooling system. Luma activated her suit's tracking interface and moved toward the location. When she arrived, she found a young child sitting in the vehicle, the interior warming rapidly. The child's caregiver was nearby, panicked but trying to remain calm. "Please help," the caregiver called. Luma approached with confidence. "Stay calm. I will handle this." She assessed the vehicle and the temperature readings, quickly overriding the system and opening the doors. The child stepped out safely, looking up at Luma with wide eyes. "Thank you," the child whispered. The crowd of nearby citizens watched in admiration. Some recorded the event. Others discussed how human judgment remained essential. Luma guided the child to a safe area, ensuring hydration and comfort. She spoke calmly to the caregiver, emphasizing the importance of observing and acting in emergencies. Meanwhile, Varen was called to the scene to observe the procedure. He noted the efficiency of Luma's actions, but more importantly, he observed her decision-making process. The way she assessed risk, prioritized safety, and acted with empathy impressed him deeply. He began to understand the role humans played in maintaining both safety and trust in the colony. Later, the council convened a meeting to discuss further improvements to safety protocols. Luma presented data from the recent incident, emphasizing how human judgment had prevented harm. She recommended additional training for officers, integrating empathy exercises, situational awareness drills, and decision-making simulations. Council members nodded in agreement. "Humans like Luma demonstrate the importance of presence, observation, and ethical action," one official said. "We must ensure that humans remain central in safety oversight, even as our technology advances." Varen, still observing, added cautiously, "I understand now that rules alone are insufficient. Human insight, empathy, and courage are essential in emergencies. I will work to support these initiatives and learn from human-led procedures." The city continued to thrive, citizens more aware and attentive than before. Mara and her friends practiced safety drills in their neighborhood, learning to observe and respond to potential hazards. Schools emphasized lessons on empathy, courage, and responsibility. Children shared stories of Luma's bravery, inspired to help others in their community. Luma continued her patrols, attending training sessions, guiding young officers, and monitoring city systems. She balanced her duties with education and mentorship, ensuring that humans remained a guiding presence in Nova Prime. Her example inspired not only children, but also adults, reinforcing the value of empathy and moral clarity. In the northern sector, a group of young citizens conducted a community exercise based on the hovercar incident. They identified potential hazards, observed carefully, and made decisions on how to act. Mara led the exercise, explaining why human judgment mattered even when automated systems were functioning. Varen attended the exercise as an observer. He watched the children assess risks, communicate, and act thoughtfully. He realized that human judgment was not only about authority or protocol, but about teaching, guiding, and instilling a sense of responsibility in the next generation. Luma returned to the protection office, reviewing reports from the day. She noted minor incidents where human intervention had been decisive, from hovercar malfunctions to small accidents in crowded areas. Each report reinforced her belief that humans were essential to the safety and well-being of the colony. That evening, Luma looked out from her patrol tower, the city alive with movement and light. She reflected on the progress the city had made, the lessons learned, and the changes that had begun to take root. Citizens were more aware, officers more trained, and even those like Varen had begun to understand the importance of human judgment. Mara waved from her home below, her notebook filled with ideas about courage, safety, and responsibility. Luma smiled, knowing that the next generation would carry forward the lessons of empathy and moral clarity. The city had grown stronger, not just in technology, but in human awareness, courage, and care. The story of Mara's rescue, the hovercar malfunction, and Luma's decisive action had become a symbol of human value. It reminded everyone in Nova Prime that while machines could assist, humans remained at the heart of the colony, capable of empathy, insight, and brave action. As night fell and the twin suns dipped below the horizon, the city shimmered under artificial lights and stars. Citizens moved confidently through the streets, aware of their surroundings and ready to help one another if needed. Luma felt a sense of pride and purpose, knowing that humans had proven their essential role in the colony. Varen, reviewing reports late into the evening, finally accepted the lesson. Human judgment, compassion, and courage were indispensable. He had witnessed the value of presence, observation, and action guided by empathy. It was a realization that would shape his future decisions and actions in Nova Prime. The city continued its rhythm, technology humming efficiently, citizens walking and flying through the streets, and humans standing at the center, ready to guide, protect, and inspire. Luma knew that challenges would come again, but the lessons of courage, empathy, and human judgment would remain a guiding light for Nova Prime. And in a quiet neighborhood, Mara prepared for another day, inspired to grow, learn, and contribute to the safety and well-being of her city, carrying with her the lesson that humans could make a difference when it mattered most. The morning sun rose over Nova Prime, casting golden light on the towering glass structures and smooth hoverways. The city hummed with life, citizens moving briskly, hovercars gliding silently, and drones scanning the streets. It was a peaceful morning, yet Luma knew that vigilance was essential. In a world of advanced technology, humans remained the deciding factor in moments that could change lives. Luma began her patrol, checking the northern sector where Mara lived. Children were already outside, practicing safety drills with guidance from their parents. Mara led a small group, demonstrating what she had learned from Luma. Her movements were careful, her voice confident, and her eyes bright with determination. Luma watched proudly, knowing that the lessons of empathy, courage, and judgment were being passed to the next generation. Meanwhile, Varen had become an active participant in the Council's new human-centered safety initiative. His pride had been tempered by the lessons of the hovercar incident. He now approached situations with observation, reflection, and a willingness to learn from those with more experience. Today he accompanied Luma on a patrol to observe and support her work, both for his own learning and to contribute to the safety of the city. The first alert came from a sector near the industrial district. A hovercar transporting supplies had detected an overheating issue in its cooling system. Luma quickly assessed the situation, noting the rising temperature and the potential risk to the child passenger inside. Rushing to the scene, she found a young child alone, looking frightened but unharmed so far. The hovercar's automated systems had slowed, but it was clear that human intervention was necessary. Luma approached calmly, activating the emergency override to unlock the doors and stabilize the temperature inside. The child stepped out safely, taking a deep breath of fresh air, relief clear in their eyes. Varen watched silently, taking careful notes. He observed Luma's thought process, her ability to assess risk, prioritize safety, and act decisively. He saw how her empathy guided her decisions, ensuring that the child was not only safe but also comforted and reassured. He realized that humans could act with insight, understanding, and moral clarity in ways technology alone could never match. As the day progressed, more minor incidents occurred, each requiring a combination of observation, judgment, and quick action. Luma guided each response with calm authority, ensuring that humans remained central in safety procedures. Citizens noticed the efficiency and care in every interaction, reinforcing their trust in human judgment. In the afternoon, the council convened a public assembly to discuss the results of the new safety initiatives. Citizens filled the plaza, holographic screens projecting live feeds from training simulations, patrols, and recent rescues. Luma and Varen presented their observations, demonstrating how human intervention complemented technology and protected lives. Today we have seen the value of human judgment in action, Luma said, addressing the crowd. Technology is a tool, but it is humans who assess, decide, and act with empathy and courage. Our role is essential in ensuring that every life is valued and protected. Citizens applauded, inspired by the clarity and simplicity of her words. Children cheered, remembering Mara's rescue and imagining themselves as capable protectors in the future. Parents spoke of the importance of teaching empathy and responsibility, while council members took notes, planning future policies to integrate human oversight more fully. Varen stepped forward, addressing the crowd with humility. I have learned that strict adherence to rules is not always enough. Observing, understanding, and acting with care are equally important. Humans have the ability to guide technology, to protect, and to inspire. I will work to support these principles in every situation. The citizens watched, impressed by his sincerity. Many had doubted him, but seeing his willingness to learn and adapt demonstrated the transformative power of human insight. Nova Prime had become a city where humans and technology worked together, guided by empathy, courage, and moral clarity. Later, Luma returned to the plaza near Mara's home. The child ran to greet her, holding a notebook filled with sketches, notes, and ideas about safety and helping others. I have been learning and practicing, Mara said proudly. I want to help people like you do. Luma smiled warmly. You are already learning, Mara. Every thoughtful action, every careful observation, every kind word contributes to the safety and well-being of others. That is how humans make a difference. Rena, Mara's caregiver, watched the interaction with pride. You have inspired many people, Luma. Not just Mara, but the citizens of Nova Prime. You have shown that courage, empathy, and moral clarity are as important as technology in our world. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the city, Luma continued her patrol. She moved through the streets, observing, guiding, and assisting wherever needed. Citizens waved, smiled, and expressed gratitude, their trust in humans strengthened by the lessons they had witnessed. Varen accompanied her for a while, observing and learning. He began to mentor younger officers, sharing his insights about balancing rules with human judgment. Though his path had begun in strict adherence to protocol, he now understood the value of empathy, courage, and decisive action guided by moral clarity. That evening, Luma returned to her patrol tower overlooking Nova Prime. The city shimmered under artificial lights and stars, alive with movement and energy. Hovercars glided smoothly through the streets, citizens moved confidently, and humans remained at the center, ensuring the safety, trust, and moral integrity of the colony. She thought of Mara, now asleep in her home, dreaming of a future where she could help others and make a difference. Luma reflected on how a single moment of bravery and empathy had inspired a city, transformed perceptions, and strengthened the bond between humans and technology. The city's safety systems continued to operate efficiently, but humans remained the guiding force. Every decision, every action, every moment of judgment demonstrated the value of empathy and courage. Nova Prime had become a living example of how humans could make a difference, even in a highly technological world. In the following weeks, the colony introduced programs to train young citizens in safety, responsibility, and empathy. Schools incorporated lessons from the hovercar incident, showing children how observation, quick thinking, and moral clarity could save lives. Officers like Luma became mentors, teaching future generations the importance of human judgment. Varen continued his transformation, embracing the principles of empathy, observation, and courageous decision-making. He worked closely with Luma and the Council to ensure that human oversight remained central to the safety of Nova Prime. His example showed that even those who once relied solely on rules could learn the value of human insight. Citizens of Nova Prime became more attentive, caring, and engaged. Community exercises, safety drills, and mentoring programs emphasized the role of humans in guiding technology and protecting lives. The story of Mara's rescue became legendary, a symbol of human courage, empathy, and the ability to act decisively when it mattered most. One evening, Luma walked through the plaza where Mara and her friends were practicing safety exercises. Mara's confidence had grown immensely, and she encouraged others to think critically, observe carefully, and act with kindness. Luma watched, feeling proud and hopeful for the future. The twin suns set, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. Nova Prime glowed under both natural and artificial light, alive with energy, innovation, and humanity. Luma reflected on the lessons learned. Humans were not only capable of guiding technology, but also of inspiring courage, teaching empathy, and shaping the future of the colony. In her patrol tower, Luma paused to look at the city stretching endlessly below. She saw hovercars gliding, citizens moving confidently, children playing and learning, and officers patrolling with careful attention. The city thrived not just because of technology, but because humans had the courage, empathy, and moral clarity to guide it. And somewhere below, Mara slept peacefully, dreaming of a day when she could help others as Luma had helped her. The city had grown stronger, safer, and more aware, all because humans had acted with care, insight, and bravery. Luma smiled, knowing that Nova Prime's greatest strength would always be the human heart. The story of the hovercar incident had become more than a lesson in safety. It had become a testament to the power of humans to act decisively, morally, and with empathy. Citizens shared it, learned from it, and carried its message forward. Nova Prime would continue to thrive, guided by humans capable of courage, insight, and moral clarity. As the stars filled the sky and the city settled into the quiet of night, Luma stood watch, vigilant and proud. Nova Prime was safe, and its citizens were inspired. Humans had proven that their value was not just in strength or technology, but in their ability to care, act decisively, and shape the future with empathy and courage. And in that quiet moment, as the city glimmered under the twin suns and distant stars, Luma knew that Nova Prime's greatest legacy would always be the humans who had the courage to make a difference when it mattered most.